episode of the Boy Time Podcast. I'm Jack, and as always, I'm joined by Babby.
Mm.
Yes, it's true. It is the 9th week of Simian summer here at the Boy Time Podcast. We took a break last week. I went to the great city of Minneapolis, and I saw the cherry and the spoon. So I was too busy.
Discount bean.
The discount bean. But the bean doesn't shoot water out of a cherry stem, so that's
That's true. It was also under construction when I saw it.
oh.
So brilliant.
So I was too busy looking at that to do a podcast episode last week, which only means that Simian Summer is going to last longer into the year, which I'm fine with.
Yippee!
But this week we watched the hit David Lynch film, What Did Jack Do? Maybe short film, I should say. But there is a monkey that's very prevalent in it because he's interviewing or interrogating a monkey. And so that's what we have planned for this week. I did see other things, but I probably won't. Well, actually, I'll probably have more to say about them than I will the monkey movie because the monkey movie is 17 minutes long. So, yeah, I guess we'll just start with that. What did Jack do? It's a weird thing that David Lynch did. I think it was like almost a goof on everyone who was like, okay, David Lynch's last visual thing that he's ever gonna create is it Lost Highway? Or which one is it? Inland Empire? I don't remember. It's one of those
I
two.
feel like Lost Highway was after that.
Lost Highway. Maybe actually is Inland Empire the one that like he just like filmed on video?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I think that 2006. That sounds like the last one. And so like as a goof, it seems like he was like, I want my last thing to be What Did Jack Do? And it's this like little goof about him interrogating a monkey, and then a year later comes back with Twin Peaks season 3. I don't know if that's the case, but it really doesn't feel like this monkey movie was like to the caliber of other David Lynch things. It's pretty goofy. Well, it's not like in it of its. I don't know. It's not like the written goofy. It's just funny that it's a monkey delivering these lines, and it's like a pretty. It's a pretty serious story because the monkey is he's charged or is suspected of being a murderer after someone sexually assaulted his chicken girlfriend or wife. It's like Zootopia. Everybody's an animal.
And a police officer.
And then just David Lynch is playing himself, the one human. Actually, there's another human who's the waitress because they're at like a diner. Because of course they are.
Every David Lynch thing needs a diner.
Of course. But it's like a dystopian diner. It's like a diner in the like Aha Take On Me music video where it looks like hand drawn. But then there's like a layer of like film grain and like you think of like a stock footage from like the 30s, and there's like all those like little hairs and like little nicks on the film that like make it in. It's like it's just like a stereotype of like it's old timey, and like that's filter is on it too. And I'm pretty sure David Lynch is playing both the human guy and the monkey, and I can tell because they like annoying oranged the monkey, and you could still see David Lynch's teeth, and he doesn't have very good teeth. I'll just say that.
I love cigarettes.
He does love cigarettes, and he does smoke in this movie, which, given everything that has come out about him in the last couple of weeks, was like, ooh, I don't. That's makes me a little uncomfortable and sad, knowing that he now has a crippling chronic illness. which I don't think he had at the time. I think this movie came out in like 2015 or 2016. But yeah, it's a weird little thing that David Lynch made, and it even has a musical number in it, and the monkey sings the song, which I tried to pay attention to, but as you can probably imagine in a David Lynch thing, the special effects aren't very good in getting the mouth to like line up to the monkey. Because I don't know if you've ever sat with an extended period of time with a monkey, but they don't really sit still very well.
I know why.
I know. We famously tried to show a monkey Once Upon a Time in the West. It's like a 4-hour period
Didn't go
drama.
well.
And it just didn't sit still. It just could not focus. It was like an ADHD kid watching a math lecture on his PC.
You just need to put Subway Surfers on somewhere.
That's right. That's right. Maybe that's what they did for the movie. To have him kind of look like he's looking at David Lynch, they put Subway Surfers next to him off camera. That's what I would imagine they did. But yeah, the mouth doesn't really do a good job staying on. And when they do the music number, they like do like a wide where you can see more of the monkey's whole body, and they like try to make the monkey like dance kind of, or maybe they just wanted more movement out of it. And man, that mouth is like sometimes like following like a frame or two behind where the monkey's mouth is, and it gets kind of weird when you can see the monkey's mouth and the David Lynch annoying orange mouth. But that's not the point. Honestly, I don't know what the point is. I think it's just a goof. I don't think it's really trying to say anything. I think it's just one of David Lynch's fun little pipe dreams. So check it out, or don't. I don't think it really matters. The movie was fine, but a monkey was highly prevalent. He's a lead, and the monkey has a lot to do with a whole musical number, a dance sequence, and he chases a chicken at the end. So I think for the first time in the Simian Summer Marathon history, I'm going to be giving what did Jack do? 10 out of 10 monkey points.
Let's go.
This is a monkey-centric film at its best.
A monkey masterpiece.
This is a monkey masterpiece in a way. In the harsh criteria that we are using for our monkey point system here at Simian Summer. There needs to be a monkey in it doing monkey things. And the monkey is doing monkey things, even though he's dressed up in a little noir trench coat suit kind of thing. He's a little monkey. And he was involved in a crime of passion, which I'm a fan of. So that's that. That's Simian Summer Week 9. Week 10, we are going to be watching the hit film Every Which Way But Loose, the movie where Clint Eastwood stars opposite an orangutan. So we'll be watching that. I don't know anything about that movie, but I can only assume it's going to be a Simian smash hit. So stay tuned and watch for next week so that we can discuss with spoilers, because I'm sure there's going to be an in-depth conversation about the plot of that film. So that's that. I also watched other things that aren't necessarily monkey related. Actually, none.
Find a way.
I was like, wait, is there a monkey in either of these other ones? I don't think so. Unfortunately, both of these movies would have been improved by a monkey being in them. I'll start with a movie that I'm very late to the party on, but I watched it with my friend in Minneapolis, and it is Bottoms, the hit film featuring Rachel Sennott. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but all of the gays love her. Sennett? I don't know.
I just said it.
Rachel is the Senate, if you will. Starring her and Io Adibari from The Bear. I think it would be funny if I butcher Rachel Sennett's name but get Io Adibari's name correct 100%.
It's only right.
I think it's only right. um, but Bottoms, I honestly didn't know much about it. I knew it was a comedy. I knew that they were both playing lesbians, and that was pretty much it. But what I got was lesbian super bad. I don't think that's like necessarily like a hot take. I'm not the only person to draw the similarities to Superbad. I almost think it's a parody of Superbad in points because the whole plot of Bottoms is it's Io Adibari and Rachel Sennett, and they are two lesbians in I think they might be their junior or senior year of high school. It's not like a thing like in Superbad where it's like, oh, it's our last summer before going off to college, so we want to like have sex with a girl before we go up, and it's like we go to a raging party. Like this one's kind of like I don't remember if they're juniors or seniors. I think they honestly might be juniors, which does make the whole well actually I don't maybe they are seniors. I don't know. Either way, they're in high school and they're both virginal lesbians at like a weirdo conservative school that like the football team runs. Like it's a parody of like a high school um like I don't know, like a basic high school rom com or even like a high school comedy like Mean Girls or something like that, I guess. Or a high school
Sky high,
or Sky Eye without the superhero elements.
of course.
But being gay is my superpower. So, in a way, it is a superhero film, as most of the characters are queer in some way, um, which is pretty cool. Uh, and yeah, they're like, I want to get with chicks. And so then they're both trying to get with the two most popular girls in the school. They're like cheerleaders and they're super hot. And the one that Io Adibari is like pining after is dating the football star, Jeff, who's
Jeff.
yeah, his name is Jeff. Everybody loves him. His like the first scene of the movie, they go to like a home. I don't even. It's like an end of summer carnival that is at the high school. I don't really know what it is, but they go there and they're like, "Oh, look at those two girls. They're so hot." And then like Jeff pulls up and like he's like wearing all of the football players are always wearing all the football gear all the time. In every scene they're in, they're wearing the shoulder pads and the jersey and like the football pants. I don't know if they're wearing cleats. I guess they don't wear the helmet. But I guess that would be pretty hard to like eat lunch and stuff if you're still wearing the helmet. So they nix that. But he like rolls up and then like it's funny like in movies like this, you know, like the football star shows up and then like they insert like crowd sounds or like, oh, I love you, Jeff. Or it's like, ooh, go give me a big smooch, Jeff. But in this, in this, those crowd sounds that they insert are like cranked up to 12, where it's like, Jeff, please sow your seed inside my pussy, Jeff. It's like, oh, Jeff, please eat out my vagina. And I'm like, Jesus, this is so intense. It's just Jeff. I've never seen anyone react like that.
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, who is pretty hot. I don't know if well,
Gotta be.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's a hot guy. He just kind of, the weird thing about Jeff is that they didn't like hire like, you know, like teen, like thirst trap, like who's that the guy who's in all the like Netflix rom coms? It's like Noah Centineo. They didn't hire like someone like that TikTok would like thirst over. It's just like some guy, but like everyone treats him like he's like super hot. Like if Jason Momoa went to the school or something, and it's just like some
Michael Sarah.
kind of, honestly. It's just like the plainest looking white guy I've ever seen. But every single girl in the school like wants him to have their babies. It's kind of insane. But yeah, that's the plot. They love these two girls, but one of them's dating Jeff. And so to get with these girls, they decide to put together an all female fight club, or self defense club. It's pretty much Fight Club. It's a parody of Fight Club where like they get together after school and they kind of beat each other up. And there's even like a montage of like them beating each other up in like the ring, and like everyone's cheering them on. And then we're also seeing them like go about their day-to-day lives at school, and they all have like black eyes and like band-aids all over their faces, which is like very much from Fight Club, where you see like Edward Norton like, like drop kicking Jared Leto, and then he's just like back at his office job with like a big old swollen eye. And I'm like, this, it's a weird combination where it's like Superbad meets Fight Club, which are like two kind of stereotypical like film bro movies. And I like that they kind of took those tropes and are like, we're going to make it super lesbian. Like the opposite of a film bro, because film bros hate lesbians. That's just a well known fact.
Every time they see a woman, they go, ew.
That's right. That's why every film bro hates Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Yeah. It's the one lesbian movie I can think of. Is there another one? Probably not.
I'm sure.
I don't think so. I think that's it. That's it in terms of feminist lesbian movies. We only need one. It's fine. And so they make a fight club, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about comedies on a movie podcast like this because, what do you say? This part was funny, and then this part was funny, and then this part was funny. So I'm not going to do any of that, and I'm just going to say go watch it because it's very enjoyable. It wasn't like the best film I've ever seen, which we'll get to, but it was very enjoyable and a fun little play on tropes that have been in the cultural zeitgeist for millennia. So I think it's a pretty G-dang good film. And all the acting, Io Adibri and Rachel Sennett are great. So I don't know if that really needed to be said about Io Adibri because she's like the best part of the bear. And pretty much everything else she's in. So I'm just a big fan of hers. So I was glad to watch this movie. And I thought it was funny when I went on Letterboxd to see, like, a bunch of the people I follow had given it like pretty high scores, like 3.5s and 4s. And then there was one person that had given it a 5. And I'm like, oh, who gave it a 5? And I clicked on who it was, and it was Io Adibri. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And I think her review was like, I'm in this with a bunch of my friends, so like that fits. And honestly, go off, Queen, slay. Am I an ally yet?
Almost.
Almost. What else
We
do I
have
need to
kept
do?
the flag on our wheel like all the time.
That's true. That's true. It's the old logo with the flag on it. Maybe I should.
We're never changing it.
Maybe I should just put the flag on the new logo.
We could.
Or I'll do the way old logo.
The first one.
Yeah. I don't
That'd be
know.
fun.
I don't know if I still have that. I might.
I doubt I do.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I'm an ally. I gave a positive review to a gay film, which I don't think I've ever done. Fun stuff. Anyways, let's talk about a different film. One that's not inherently gay, but maybe you can find a line in it if you look hard enough. It's the hit film Perfect Days by Wim Wenders, who I covered briefly when I talked about Paris, Texas, when I called him Wim Wenders, not knowing that he was German. So those W's are V's. So sorry, Wim Wenders, if you are watching. And my glowing review of your movie, where I mispronounced your name multiple times, I apologize. I know he's watching this and is very upset. So, I'm sorry. I don't know how to say that in German. So, actually, maybe he's not watching this because I don't know. I don't know what languages he speaks. Mainly because Paris, Texas was in English, and then Perfect Days is entirely in Japanese. So I don't know how this guy does this, where he just, uh, you know, just does movies in a bunch of different languages. It's kind of impressive, honestly. Especially with like how this movie is. Like it feels very like Japanese. It feels like a modern day kind of. It almost feels like Korean. It kind of feels like what's that Korean movie? The or not Korean, but it's like American and Korean, and then there's is it Past Lives? Which one is the one with Emma
I think it is,
Stone?
yeah. Wait, I think that is Past Lives.
Past Lives, and then Emma Stone is in Poor Things. Okay, I don't know why I got those mixed up.
I do too.
Okay, Past Lives. It kind of feels like that, which was a movie that I liked, but I didn't love. It wasn't like my type of movie. I think it was a straight up romance, which I'm not totally against, but it takes something like really special for me to really like romance. And while Past Lives was impressive and very well acted and directed, I don't know, it just didn't have that like thing. It didn't have the thing, which is another movie I like. But Perfect Days does have the thing, and I don't really know how to describe it. There's just a thing that it needs to do for me to like it. And Perfect Days does it. Perfect Days is about a dude. I think his name is Hirayama, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm terrible with character names in general, and then you add um, different languages, and it just becomes worse. So yeah, he plays Hirayama, who is a janitor who cleans public toilets in Tokyo. And it feels kind of inspired by the hit film Jean Dielman, whatever the rest of the address is. That feminist movie that won the Sight and Sound thing a couple years ago, where that movie is very much like you see 3 whole days of this lady's life, and it is like in painstaking detail. Every thing that she does is shown to you. You'll watch her like wash the dishes for like 10 minutes, and then she goes to the store for 10 minutes, and then she bangs a dude, which you never see, which is just disappointing. I'm really cementing myself as like the worst guy in this episode, but that's okay. And so this movie is very similar because it's like, oh, these are perfect days, which I think is almost like it's kind of tongue in cheek, kind of ironic. Not because the days are terrible, but there is this kind of like lingering sadness, even though Hirayama appears like a pretty content and happy guy on the outside. There is this kind of sadness that is, festering under the surface. But the movie starts and he wakes up and then he waters his little bonsai trees, and then he goes downstairs and brushes his teeth, and then he shaves his little mustache, and then he gets dressed, and then he goes outside and he gets a coffee from the vending machine because it takes place in Tokyo, And everybody knows that there's like 5 vending machines per person in Japan. That's just a fact. Look it up. I implore you. And so then he gets the coffee, and then he goes in his cleaning van, and then he goes to a toilet, and then we watch him clean every single toilet. And honestly, that's the best part. He like goes to all of these public toilets, and really it's a giant flex on Japan's public toilet infrastructure, I guess, because these things are cool as hell. And I don't think that they were created just for this movie. I'm pretty sure they went to like real public restrooms in Japan and just like cleaned them for a day, which honestly is a great relief to the Japanese taxpayer. So thank you, them vendors. You're doing a public service by cleaning a few toilets a couple times. So yeah, we just watch that a couple times, and stuff changes, and there's little things that, kind of come up. But it all goes into this like great kind of character study of who Hirayama is. Because, he doesn't really talk, which is kind of a thing throughout the entire movie. Like, he maybe says like 1 or 2 lines for like the first hour, because it's about 2 hours long. And it's just like him, cleaning toilets, and then like going and getting a meal at like this restaurant that he frequents, and then like going to the bathhouse, which we do get to see, which is nice. We're always a fan of male nudity in movies.
Real.
For some reason, that's become a running thing on this podcast. So,
It feels special.
It does feel special. It's like, oh, they hang dong, which actually I don't know if they do. We see
I think
them.
it's brave.
It is brave. It's very brave. There's not a whole lot of male nudity, but they're all old dudes. So
Perfect.
yeah, I don't know if that adds or takes away from it being brave, but it feels special. Even though you don't ever see the dong, we kind of get a side angle as he's like washing himself. And then like he goes into the hot tub, and then these 2 older dudes are in the bath. And as they get up to go into the hot tub, they like put a little washcloth over their dong so no one can seize it, which I guess is considerate. I don't know. I didn't know that like public baths were like still a thing, but I guess they are. So good on you, Japan, I guess. But yeah, it's just very kind of slowly paced, which is why like about halfway through, like his niece like just shows up out of the blue. She like ran away from home. I think she might be like 14 or 15. I'm just kind of like, I don't think they ever say, but I think that's right around where she is. But like basically, Hirayama and his sister don't talk. They don't get along for whatever reason. It's never really said. But his niece runs away and like lives with him for a couple days. And so then that's when we like start getting some dialogue out of Hirayama, where he's like talking a little bit, but not a whole lot. I don't know. It's this very kind of, it's very deep. The things that he does say matter. And you can tell that he's trying hard to be a good person, but he's very kind of set in his routine, which we've spent an hour kind of doing. So I don't know. It created this really kind of beautiful, um, push and pull, where it's like we almost get settled into the routine as much as Hirayama did. So then to have that disrupted, it makes us as uneasy as he is. So it's very well done. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really putting to justice how much I like this movie, and also I don't really want to spoil every little thing that happens and why I like it. But I did give it 5 stars. I think it unironically is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen. Doesn't mean it's like one of my favorites, but I did really like it and think it might be one of the best well done movies of all time. It even has a kind of Paris, Texas long shot thing. Even though the long shot in Paris, Texas is way more impressive, where it's just Harry Dean Stanton talking to his stripper ex girlfriend slash wife through like those peep show things, and it's like 5 minutes of like just his ex girlfriend's facial expressions as Harry Dean Stanton is like telling the story of their life. There is like a shot like that at the end where Hirayama, after everything he's been through, it's just a close up on his face as he's like driving to work. And it's like he's crying but also laughing at the same time. And it's kind of like this bittersweet ending where it's like we've kind of seen him not necessarily grow, but like develop. And it's like, well, at the beginning, I thought that he was like a pretty happy guy. Like he seems like like he enjoys what he does. He has this routine. There's things that he really likes. Like you can tell he really likes caring for trees, and he like takes his job really seriously. You can tell it's something that like, even though it isn't super glorious, he takes a lot of pride in his work. And so it seems like we are watching a guy have perfect days. But over the course, we kind of see this like, oh, well, he doesn't have a good relationship with his sister. And like his coworkers are kind of bad to him. And like he's getting mistreated by a bunch of different people and different sources. And we kind of see that take its toll on the guy, which is hard to see. But yeah, it's this really kind of beautiful thing at the end. It's like the perfect ending. So yeah, I think it's a pretty G-dang great movie. But before I wrap up, I do want to just give a little shout out to Hirayama for having like fire music taste because basically he I guess is like he collects cassette tapes, and he almost exclusively has like cassettes from the 70s. So like when he's driving to work, he's playing House of the Rising Sun, and then he's playing like California Dreamin' by Mamas and Papas, and then he's like playing Patti Smith and Lou Reed, and I'm like, oh, okay, this guy, he's got taste. He's got taste, even though I didn't like Patti Smith. It's a bold choice. I don't care. I was like, wow, it's kind of cool. And a lot of the like music is diegetic, kind of like in Baby Driver or whatever. All the music you're hearing, he's hearing through the headphones. Very kind of similar. We're basically, there isn't a whole lot of music in the score. It's like pretty much just nothing, the sound of him cleaning. But anytime there is music, it's when he's in the car playing cassettes on his cassette deck. And every single song they play is a banger. So I don't know. Wanted to give a little shout out to my main man Hirayama. So yeah, watch it if you dare. I would still say probably start with Paris, Texas, because I think that movie is a pretty accessible masterpiece. But I think that this one is also pretty G-dang good, obviously. So I just think it might be a little bit harder to get into because it does start pretty slow. But it has a point, and it's nice. So that's it. I also did see Inside Out 2. I don't know if I have a lot to say about it. It was pretty good. It's the equivalent of Hideo Kojima saying, "I watched this movie." That's what I'm saying. It was pretty good, but I don't have much to say besides that. I don't know. It's fine. Io Debri's in it. She's playing a side character, I guess. who doesn't really follow what her emotion's supposed to be, which doesn't really make sense. She's like envy, but she's never like, I don't know. She's just kind of like the, I don't know, the girls from Mean Girls, but she's not. Um, geez, Rachel McAdams. She's like one of the side ones. She's like, oh, anxiety, you're so cool. I love you, which is envious in a way, more insecure, which I guess is another word for envy, maybe. I don't know. This is dipping into philosophical discussion, and I hate philosophy. So we're gonna move on as quickly as possible. Um, Inside Out 2, pretty good. Unfortunately, y'all sent Pixar the wrong message. Because it's like, they were like, hey, we're going to move away from creating new IPs and we're just going to go back to creating sequels. And then everyone was like, no, don't do that. But then, like, Inside Out 2 was like one of their highest grossing movies. I was like, okay, good job, everybody. We can all go to the theater and get our slop for another Pixar product that is a sequel to a movie that was pretty good. In the first, it wasn't even. Do people really like Inside Out? Like, is that a high ranking one in the
I feel
Pixar?
like I don't know. I feel like there's a generation of young parents or children that are just like becoming cognizant of how they perceive things.
Yeah, that could be. I think I was like the wrong age when it came out because I think it came out
Yeah.
in like 2013 or 2014. And I was like, it wasn't even like that I was like, ew, animation. No, it was just like, I don't know. It doesn't like quite apply to me. It was like right before. If it
There's an
came out,
age where like you love animation and it's your favorite thing, and then you
yeah.
have a rebellious age. And then you
Well,
come back after and be like, animation is still the coolest thing.
that's true. That's true. I think that was like the start of it where I'm like, oh, that was fine. And I don't think I've seen it since I saw it in theaters, so I don't really have a positive view of that movie. Um, so I just think it's fine. And Inside Out 2 is pretty good. It was pretty enjoyable, and there was 2D animation in it, which was fun. There was a lot of like multimedia stuff. It kind of felt like I was watching Smiling Friends, where it's a cartoon, but then sometimes they'll throw in like PS2 graphic Wembley or a real guy or stuff like that. And it felt like that. It was pretty cool. Okay, enough about Pixar. Uh, until that Beaver movie comes out, because we all know I love Beaver films. So,
Beaver Summer.
Beaver Summer. It'll just be that Beaver movie and then hundreds of beavers.
Yep. That's the
Is
only
there
two.
any other Beaver movie? Um, is there a Beaver in the Revenant? That feels like something that would have a
There's
beaver in
probably a
it.
beaver in like open season or something.
Oh, that's true. Oh, there's the
Or
film
over the hedge.
over the. Oh, there's probably one in there. There's the hit film The Beaver, which was the Mel Gibson film that came out right after he said all of those things that he said,
Ooh,
that
that'd
stars
be a good one.
him talking to a beaver puppet.
Great.
So, pretty cool.
The beaver sounds like a bear offshoot, where instead of like having a very angry, messed up like Top Chef, it's like a baker.
It does, yeah, it does kind of sound like that. I don't know. That one's a weird one. It's directed by Jodie Foster too, which just
Interesting.
feels like a weird choice. Um, but yeah, stay tuned. Next year will be Beaver Summer. Mark your calendars, because I definitely won't remember.
I will.
Um, okay, perfect. Well, I'm glad you'll keep me accountable. But I think that's it for me. I think that was all the hit films I saw. Well, I saw Forrest Gump. I watched Forrest Gump in the park because it was the night. There was like an outdoor showing. But that one's pretty good too. You don't need me to tell you that though. So, all right, I'm just gonna throw it on over to Babby for his segment of the show. Music.
Ooh. We have music to talk about.
Really?
Yes,
Oh.
for real this time. Um, we'll start on a sad note.
Oh
Uh,
no.
I've had a very stressful, never-ending, annoying month, and this is really just the cherry on top. Black
Okay.
Midi is done.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's over.
That is sad.
Um, yeah, apparently the bassist and good old Greep have some beef,
Oh no.
um, which, you know, it happens. Not much we can do about it.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I don't know what's gonna become of each individual part because all of them are like uber talented. So I'm sure they will each find, um, places to go. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm interested to see what Greep does because I feel like I don't know he could just go full solo act, and I think it would do well for him. Um, he's got the frontman like energy where like he can be the solo artist if he needs to be. Um, so it'll be interesting to see. I think my dream lineup would just be like Greep joining the new Black Country New Road lineup and
Oh,
just like
there you go.
completely like shocking the new sound that they're going for.
Yeah.
Um, that would be fun. But we'll see what happens. There's a lot of windmill scene bands out there, but I think Black Midi was probably the best and most consistent. I think Black Country New Road's a little bit different than that. Um,
Yeah.
Also, they're in a different lineup now too, so they also have a pretty different ethos when it comes to their work. So there was a hot little moment there. Windmill scene was on top, and now it's all pretty much vanished, and there's some new acts trying to come up. Um,
Ooh.
but interesting. So, no new Black Midi albums, unfortunately, um, unless they do a reunion in 15 years, like bands back then did. I don't know if that'll be a thing. Um, I don't know. They
Maybe.
also weren't like stadium sellout bands, so
That's
you
true.
little nerds on the internet be like, "Oh my god, they're back." Um, but yeah, that was the thing. That was sad. Um, what else we got? Post Melon released his new record
Ah, geez. Do we have to
this
talk
week.
about this?
I wasn't gonna talk about it a lot. I just wanted to bring it up.
It's very
So
sad.
yeah, it's F1 Trillion. It's a full country record, and there's like a feature from a country artist on like every single song almost.
Yeah.
Um, Included but not limited to Tim McGraw, Morgan Wallen, Blake Shelton, Dolly Parton, Jelly Roll. Are you kidding me? Hardy.
Let's not throw Dolly Parton in the mix with all those other ones. Can we do
Yeah,
that?
no. She was just kind of she popped out.
She is on there,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Uh, I think you can do this style well. I mean, Cowboy Carter is good. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Um, I just don't like Post Malone like slowly just going more and more into like mainstream pop and then being like, I'm gonna do a full country record. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels nasty,
Yeah, it
but
does.
what do you know? I mean, a ton of artists do this. It just sucks when it's an artist that I somewhat cared about.
Yeah, beer bongs is good.
Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
mean,
much
like
it, but it
I
was a
don't
good
care that
record.
Machine Gun Kelly like changed into like
Wow.
emo rock and all that. Like it happens a lot in hip hop with people, um, but I don't know. It's a shame. I feel like Post Malone has never used his like artistic palette in a way that like actually did something really great. Beer Bongs was like the one exception where that album just slaps
Yeah.
for no reason,
No.
and everything else is like this could be so much better. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
yes. We're starting off so sad today.
I know.
Um, it'll
It
get
gets
better, don't
better.
worry.
Okay.
It'll get better. I guess we'll get into singles for this week. We'll start with Ka. Uh, he's back. I don't know where. We kind of knew this was coming, but we didn't know like the extent of what was coming. He put out a new single today, Such Devotion. Pretty decent. I've not heard any Ka, which is really weird considering how deep into like more underground artsy hip hop. I have not gotten into Ka yet. I think this might be my starting point. Um, because by all accounts, I should like him a lot. I've heard him on a couple of things, but never checked out a record or anything. But the new song is cool. This is part of his new record, The Thief Next to Jesus, which goes kind of hard.
Mm.
Um, it came out today. through digital download. So it's $20. You can buy it right now. I think this is
Oh,
usually how he does his rollouts, which I enjoy actually. I think when you're an artist of this lane, you can put out an album um, early before streaming services and charge people for it, and it's actually like worth it to do it. Um, I like seeing that money go straight to the actual artist in that way. It's different when it's like no worries doing a vinyl only release for a week and then going on streaming because it's gonna get a lot of plays. Um, I don't know. I like this, but I'll probably wait for it to come out on streaming. It should come out in like a couple weeks or a month, just because I've not really heard anything from him yet, and I don't want to buy a $20 record just to like check it out. But if I do enjoy it, I will probably purchase it. I've been purchasing a lot of digital music this year, which is weird.
oh,
I've never done that before.
no.
Um, but when you have good headphones, Spotify does not cut it. So you got to find different avenues. But yeah, excited for that. Song's pretty good. I don't have much to say about it. I know his stuff is very dense, so I look forward to listening to the whole album when it comes out eventually. Speaking of vinyl only releases first and then coming on streaming, The Smile. They put out a super mysterious little 2 pack. When was this? 2 weeks ago? Record stores were just getting these random little like Smile EPs with 2 tracks on them.
Oh, I think
And
I saw
eventually,
that.
Don't Get Me Started, one of them got on streaming. Yeah, it's like a little X thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't know if it's worth it to buy. I'm kind of
Okay.
glad I didn't go out to the record store and buy it. It's not bad. Don't Get Me Started at least sounds like more Tom York's solo song, but one that like does not have the interest that a lot of the Tom York solo stuff does. Um, Definitely more electronic driven. It sets a mood, and that's about all it really does. It's decent, but I'm not really going back to it, especially like everything off of Wall of Eyes just clears this thing like so hard. Um, but yeah, I thought it was interesting that that's how they released that. I mean, Jack White also just did that. He released his album on vinyl
Oh, yeah.
only randomly and
And no
didn't tell anybody
worries.
about it. And no
Well, I
worries.
guess that wasn't a surprise, but yeah.
That wasn't a surprise, yeah. But now the Jack White one is on streaming. I might check that out eventually. I don't know.
Mm.
King Gizzard just did a hard rock album. I feel like I need another week or two before I do another hard rock album.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's a really
Yeah.
good record too.
Yes. Yes, it is. Um, all right, next we got Flying Lotus. He's back
Oh,
finally. Flamagra was 2019. That was the last album he put out. The Yasuke soundtrack was
yeah, I
the
was
most
gonna
recent
ask.
thing. Yeah, that was 21, so that was 3 years ago. Um, Pretty decent soundtrack. I think Flamagra was like the second record I ever bought. Why? I don't really know. I think the cover art was just like insane, and I'm like, this album is solid enough where I'm buying this.
Hmm.
um, but he's got really great stuff. Your Dead is also fantastic. Cosmogramma, I need to like, people love that record. I need to like really get into that thing and see how great it is. I feel like I first got into him in like 2018, where I was not prepared for like really glitchy, jazzy, experimental music, and now I
Mm.
probably am. Um, but yeah, new record. Don't know what it's called yet, but the single is Garmon Bozia. It's a Twin Peaks song. Um,
Oh,
I feel
oh,
like I feel like this is a very this is a very common thing. I mean, it makes sense why there's a lot of Twin Peaks songs. This one is very explicit about it as well, um, but it's a cool vibe. I enjoy it. He does do vocals on the track, which is cool.
oh.
He doesn't usually do a lot of vocals. Um, yeah, production's cool. It's chill. It's a little bit jazzy. It's got that kind of ominous, kind of atmospheric feel that a lot of his stuff has. So I'm interested to see where this record goes, but it's cool to see him trying something different. Um, Next singles, Lucid. New singles for the new record, which comes out. When does this thing come out? I think it comes out in October. Yeah, October 11th. Um, so it's weird because it's a 2 pack EP single thing, but he only markets one song and doesn't even like acknowledge that the other song exists,
Oh,
which is weird. But it's instant transfer with Billy Woods, and then we have Slim of a Disregard on the B side. Both are very good. They both sound like they are evolving the test strip sound from last year, um, but going even more experimental and weird with it, kind of similar to like Supermoon and Switchboard off the last record, which you could definitely tell were more like a lucid led songs because he loves the weirdo stuff. But they're both really good. Instant Transfer is fantastic. The Billy Woods feature is pretty great. He's doing like a different inflection than he usually does, and it works out really well. Um, Balancing just like insane like production styles and off the cuff stuff and like more traditional flows on the song, which is really nice. And then some of it disregard I really like. um, Nobody's talking about it, but it's really good. I'm really excited for this record because I feel like he's like in a certain lane that he's really kind of opened up into after like test strips and like Haram, these like kind of psychedelic experimental like production forward almost albums. Because some of the disregard is noisy, it's weird, it's like almost to the level of like by the time I get to Phoenix Injury Reserve and how like avant-garde it is, which I really enjoy. And lyrically it is fantastic. um, I think he's going to be very no filter on this record, which is great. um, I don't remember all the lyrics on the song, but like the last refrain of like my landlord is a Zionist or something was like
Oh,
crazy, and he's going direct with a lot of this stuff, and I really love it. So very excited for this record. I think he's doing something really bold, and I think it'll be a really nice kind of debut on Fat Possum for him. So you should get a lot more publicity from it as well. Yeah, very excited for that. Okay, we can finally get into the albums. Where do I start? We'll stay in the backwoods lane. Oske, I think that's how my Norwegian ancestors are smiting me right now. Self-titled, avant-garde jazz, experimental jazz rap fusion record debut on Backwoods.
awesome.
Yeah, this is a Norwegian experimental jazz group, um, picked up by a underground rap New York label. So that's already I'm sold. But yeah, it is great. It's really fantastic. I need to listen to it more. I haven't really been in the mood for like blow your ears out jazz, but there will be a time and place for that. But I think that the lineup of like features and the variety of the tracks here are really fantastic. We have Lucid on the first track, which he does fantastic over this thing. Um, Amager with Billy Woods is fantastic. Three Headed Axe is absolute madness. I enjoy like smooth jazz a lot, but every once in a while, like if it's well done, these like experimental, crazy jazz records are nice. I mean, your ears kind of get blown up by saxophones, but I didn't get like ear fatigue from that on this record. I feel like that's my biggest issue with like jazz records that go this crazy. Um, but there was a really nice blend of things going on. It didn't feel like too it was fusion in the way that it's using like hip hop production motifs, but still using jazz instrumentation, which is really cool. The song with Cavalier on it is also really nice. So, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but it is great. I need to give it more time when I'm more in the mood for it. But I love this kind of diversification from this label, and the people kind of involved with it and around it are just really cool. So, yeah, check it out if you're in the mood for some experimental jazz.
I know I
I know
am.
everybody is. Exactly. Okay, Mavi, back. New record. I think this is his third. Shadowbox. Knew this was coming. Didn't listen to any of the singles or anything. I think I just waited for the whole record. Uh, it's a little weird because we just got the navy blue record, which I really love. Mavi is kind of in that same lane of like I would say spiritual hip hop in a way. Just like really like soul affirming kind of like experimental kind of drumless hip hop. Uh, but Shadowbox is a lot darker. I think Let the Sun Talk is really fantastic, like layered, lush, colorful record. This one is very much not that, and I think I really enjoy that side of him as well. Um, there's definitely still some jazz elements and stuff, but it's a lot more bleak. Um, Tackles a lot of addiction. Uh, a lot of it is about like how art can be perceived and how art helps, but is not the answer for a lot of addictions and stuff like that. But the the lyricism is fantastic as always. Mavi has great like enunciation. The words he chooses are fantastic. The beats he chooses are amazing. Um, yeah, a couple of times in this record, I'm just like, this is just phenomenal. I think Grindstone through the Giver is I think my favorite section on the record. It's just really fantastic. I think the Giver, the beat on that thing is amazing. The vocal work on Drunk Prayer and the vocal work on Open Waters is amazing. And it's a 33-minute record, which I think is a perfect length for it. With Mavi, like he's so forward in the mix, and he has like such an enunciation that is like kind of unique. Where I feel like if there's a record more than 40 minutes, I'm gonna get a little bit like tired of it. But I think this perfectly kind of captures what I like about him, and I think it can rival "Let the Sun Talk." I think it's got to sit a little bit because I think people hold that record to like I was such a high standard for good reason. But I didn't. I think this is kind of on the same like pedestal as it almost. Um, but yeah, Lyricist is fantastic. The whole theme of Shadowbox and like songs about him like rapping to his shadow, and you can only figure it out after you've like listened to it 3 times. It's just really, really fantastic. So, yeah, check it out. Check the navy blue one out as well. I still think I like the navy blue one a little bit more, which is probably not, most people's um, ranking of those two. But I don't know. That one was just speaking to me. But yeah, both phenomenal records. So check that out. All right, bigger twist. Logic is
Oh,
back. Yeah, I
again?
didn't know this. I didn't know this was happening. Out of retirement for the third time or something. I don't know.
Has he ever really retired? I feel like he's been dropping
No,
stuff every year.
he has been.
Okay.
um, he did the thing where like I'm done, and he was done for 2 years, and he was making music under like different like pseudonyms and everything, but it was all just him doing stuff. He made like a lot of beat tapes, which I didn't listen to. I didn't listen to any of like the non like main album stuff. I didn't listen to College Park either. I think that was that was an hour long record last year. Did not listen to that. Vinyl Days was pretty solid. No Pressure, I thought was like a really good wrap up on his thingy. Um, but I, I don't think that anymore because this is Ultra 85. Um, I was big on Logic in middle school when I was getting into rap, which I think is kind of the natural progression of things. Um, he speaks fast and he sounds pretty good rapping when you're younger, and there's not a lot of like context about hip hop around you. Like I learned a lot about hip hop lore through Logic because he'd reference it and call back to it so many times to a point where it's like his fandom for hip hop was showing more than his actual musical abilities. And you only realize that after you actually listen to hip hop and then go back to listen to some of
Yeah.
his earlier stuff, which is fine. I mean, as long as you get there, you get there. Um, so I've had a lot of solid opinions, really bad opinions on his music. I think he had a severe drop off after The Incredibles True Story in 2015.
Mm.
I think Under Pressure was pretty great, even though it was literally Good Kid, Mad City just reformatted to fit him, which it's still good. But like again, if you compare it to the contemporaries, he's not stepping up to it. The Incredible True Story, I think, is the most Logic album because it's a whole concept of people like in space trying to find paradise and on this like space adventure, and
Mm.
they're like uh, going through old like beat CDs and stuff where the Logic songs are playing, and that's the song that they talk about and stuff like that. So it's a cool concept. It works pretty solid. I always really enjoyed that record, and I think that was the one I went back to the most back in 2015. Um, then Everybody came out in 2017. That record sucks. It's awful. It has the Suicide song on it, the one everybody knows.
I love that song.
Um, yeah, man, this record sucked. I feel like he didn't really grasp concepts that well, like concept records. Because the Incredible True Story is passable, but it's nothing too crazy. Everybody was like he tried to go way too big, and he just failed at every single corner of
Why
it.
is Ansel
Um,
Elgort on this record?
yeah, yeah, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Um, I don't even
Oh,
remember. Yeah,
oh, jeez.
very weird. But yeah, that kind of started turning me off of Logic. And then everything past then was either like, not noteworthy or so horribly bad that it made me want to like lie and say that I've never been a fan of Logic, but I'm not doing that. But that being said, we're all the way up to Ultra 85, which is a record that he was talking about on The Incredible True Story in 2015. So this record is like 9 years in the making. This is like the fall off for J. Cole, where artists announce what their last record is, and everything just builds up to that.
Ah, jeez.
So this record has everything going against it at this point, but it turned out really good. um, I think this is probably his best record if we're just talking like songwriting ability, flow of tracks, all of that. I think this is his best. Um, is it my favorite? I don't know. I'm so disconnected from him at this point that like I can't say I'd listen to this thing again. But it was a good experience doing it, and I got a lot of great nostalgia because this is a sequel to the Incredible True Story.
Ah,
So we're back in the space theme. We got the same people back. Um, it follows like two spacemen. One is voiced by the voice actor for Spike for Cowboy Bebop. He's also in a bunch of other things. He's very recognizable.
yes.
I just don't know his name. Um, but yeah, so the record has a lot of callbacks to that stuff. But it's done in a way where it's not like too over the head, like beat you over the head. Um, it definitely still gives like Reddit, Rick and Morty, Marvel kind of humor levels, but it does it in a way that's authentic to Logic that isn't like too annoying. I think that balance is kind of nice. It reads as like a cheesy sci-fi film about like two guys reminiscing over like culture in hip hop from like 40 years back or whatever, trying to find this like paradise planet. And it's cute. I like it. It goes well. And I think my biggest flaw with Logic, there's a lot of flaws, but I think the biggest ones for me were like he didn't have anything to talk about anymore. I think this is kind of the same like Eminem situation where they're focused so much on the technicality and like rapping technically well that like they weren't saying anything. And Logic was like definitely reusing lines over and over and over again just to make syllables work. And it got really really annoying. But this record has none of that. Like there are songs that are like sequels and like homages to his earlier work, but they're done in a way where like he has things to talk about now, and like the messages he's getting across are actually like genuine and feel true to his character. Because there was definitely a point where he just got like really like jaded, and it just felt really bad to listen to.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This thing works. Are the skits cringy? Yeah, but like it's more of like a have a laugh about it and not like offensive like cringy. Um, Especially the Incredible True Story. I've listened to that record dozens of times back in the day. Like just having a follow up to it that feels like a genuine like sequel in terms of everything is built up more. The tracks make more sense. Everything is just like really well placed. Um, yeah, the first song is 9 minutes, and I expected it to be a little intro song, and it just turned into this 9 minute like thing, which is really great. Um, but yeah, that's mostly what I have to say about it. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna listen to it again probably, but like I have to give credit where credit is due. Uh, I hope he goes out at this. I can't. This is the best you can do, I think. And that's not an insult. I think this is truly like this is this is what your career has been leading up to. It just took a lot of bumps on the road to get to this point. And I'm glad the record he was talking about for the past 9 years actually came to be something that was memorable and not something where it's like you can never live up to the hype of a 9 year record. Um, but I think he did it. So I hope the Logic fans are really into this because it is really great. So it did have the album of the year syndrome though, where like they were like, "Oh my god, a good Logic album! I need to like overrate it so it becomes like super high on the charts." I don't know why that happens every single record that comes out.
Oh,
Um, it stabilizes. It's just kind of funny to see like the day it came out, it was like number 5 for the year, and I'm like, "There's no way it's that good."
oh man. Are there still diehard Logic fans?
I'm sure there are somewhere.
Okay.
Where? I don't really know. um, I don't know because they don't hang out on like the hip hop heads Reddit.
No.
They're not on Twitter. So where do they live? That I don't know. I could see
4chan?
like I could see like 40-year-old dudes who collect Funko Pops and like have a snapback with a
Mm,
beard. Um,
yeah.
and like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of like kids nowadays will not get into Logic either, though. I feel like there's other things and that kind of time has passed. So, but
No, it's Baby
it's
Keem's
interesting to see.
time.
Baby Keem's time.
Yeah,
He needs to release something.
it's been a minute.
Boy, you're good, but like you're not good where it's like two albums and then you just take a chill pill. Like I need something.
Yeah, you
Um,
can't do a Kendrick this early.
no, you got to build it up a little bit first.
Yeah.
Even though we did go straight, Good Kid, Mad City, while he was 9 years old, according to Drake. So
That's
um,
true. That's
that's
true.
true. He's a genius. Um, but yeah, that was everything like new stuff. I think it was a lot of variety, but all pretty solid. Couple of other ones that aren't related to that. This week I listened to Public Strain by Women. I'm listening to Women. I'm progressive. Um, yeah, Women is the band before Cindy Lee. So Patrick Flegel, they were part of this band, and then it broke up, and then they went on to Preoccupations, which was another band. I don't know if that one's still going or not. Um, Looks like they put out a record in 2022, so they might still be going. But this was before the Cindy Lee solo project kicked off. So it was interesting because this album had a lot of great reviews on it, and I messed with all the genres heavily on this thing. So it's definitely like post punky, very post punk forward, but more in like a Joy Division and New Order fusion kind of way, where it is a lot more kind of uh, I don't know. It feels more classic. It feels 70s, 80s, which makes sense. I was always wondering, like, they went so hard into the 60s with Diamond Jubilee. I'm like, is there always this kind of like weird nostalgic like throwback vibe to the music? And it seems to be that way. Um, and I don't know. It works really well. It's a really fantastic record. It takes multiple listens. I think the first time it felt like really bleak and kind of bare, and then the second time all those melodies kind of really jumped out at me, and the fantastic riffs and the post punkiness of it was just really hidden. So yeah, it's really great. I definitely need to like listen to it more and more and more. But a lot of these songs, like they have some really fantastic like post punk riffs, and they make some like very pretty, but also like empty and desolate, a fusion of those two, which I find really cool. Which it literally feels like if you take Unknown Pleasures and the New Order record and like shove them together, it has that kind of cool dichotomy to it that I really mess with. So yeah, check it out. It's really good. Um, I'm gonna have to check out the self-titled eventually too. But I'm like Diamond Jubilee's fantastic. I need to get more into this area. Um, so yeah, really great. Okay, uh, microphones deep dive time
Oh,
again. Yeah, you didn't think I had any left,
I
but
didn't.
I got one more in me. Uh, yeah, ladies, gentlemen, NB's a third 100 out of 100 has struck the Pentagon or towers or whatever.
Oh,
Um, yeah, this is microphones in 2020. I've been having a rough month, so I treated myself to doing this. I was gonna wait until I had everything under my belt and then do it. Um, but honestly, I think I did enough where like I can get the full impact of this without hearing Mount Erie.
yeah.
So this is the reunion slash final slash whatever microphones record. Um, Came out in 2020, obviously, because Mount Erie is, I think, officially still like the last microphones album because after that transition to the Mount Erie name. Um, but I, it's very deliberate to use the microphones name for this record. So this is an album, but it is only one song. It's a 44-minute and 44-second song, not on streaming services, only on Bandcamp and YouTube. So I bought the record so I could get the digital download code because I want the high quality version. Even though the YouTube video will be just fine for 99.9% of people, I was just, you know, I'm buying the record, and I have the record, and it's fantastic. His pressings are really, really good. I don't know where he gets them done, but like the warmth on these vinyl are so good. Um, but yeah, I like supporting it that way, and then just getting the HD FLAC file and just diving into this thing head first. Um, so there's a music video with it, which is just a series of pictures that he's laying on a table to the music for the whole entirety of the thing, which must have been a pain to film. I did not listen like with the music video at first. I've listened to this thing like 10 times in 2 weeks. It's not healthy. Um, so the whole song is essentially just two chords on an acoustic guitar. Like that's the base of it. I think it takes like 7.5 minutes for vocals to even get entered. It's just this like this classic Phil like channeling the guitars through and making this kind of like psychedelic like folk ambiance, but it's only using two chords, so it's like deceptively simple. Um, and this whole thing is kind of a retrospective slash autobiography of the microphones and Mount Erie discography, but also just his life at the same time because he intermixes the feelings of what he was going through in his life with what he was making music wise at that point, with what was inspiring him at that point. Um, it's gonna be a hard record to explain. I'm gonna have to like write a lot of thoughts about this for the main video
Mm.
because honestly, after hearing this record, I feel like I have to recontextualize that entire video, which is why I was like trying not to write too much before I listened to everything because this just like took a blow to a lot of that in a good way, I think. But yeah, so it's a phenomenal like in terms of his writing. I think this is maybe his peak um so far. I mean, this is the most recent thing he's put out. This is like I think this is the final form of the writing style and production style that he started on Crow in 2017 through now only through Lost Wisdom Part 2, where it was kind of like this looking back very spoken word, plainly spoken type delivery. But as these records went on, he was like bringing back his more poetic lyricism slowly. I think now only struck a really nice balance between that. But I think this takes it to like the absolute peak because he's like recollecting on like when he was like 17 and like things that inspired him. He talks about like seeing a matinee of what is it? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or is that
Yep.
backwards?
Nope. Nope. You
Yep.
got it.
And like running around in the parking lot afterwards and like that inspiring him and like how he views music and art, and how he went to see Stereolab and they played one chord for 15 minutes and that how like that inspired him to like really try to like make this music thing just like this endless like atmosphere and void and emptiness and all these different things. And it's all super specific, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it's self important, which is really weird because it's a very specific autobiography to like him and his decisions and his music. But at the same time, it feels very universal because we all have those like pieces of like music or like movies or video games that just like kind of strike something in you and it kind of changes the way you perceive something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he weaves all that into like how he thinks about life, all the things that have happened to him, all the records that he's made. Um, so yeah, it's amazing. It's a 45-minute masterpiece, and he interweaves. There's like B plots in this thing. Like there's so many things going on in it, and it all just kind of like wraps up perfectly, but not perfectly at the same time. He, for some reason, everything he does like has this unperfect human element to it, but it all wraps up perfectly if you like really sit down and like analyze it as an art piece. It just works still. Um, yeah, there's so many references to his past work in it, but they're not like beat you over the head references. They're very well placed. He'll steal a melody from something, or he'll steal a lyric from something, and use that in a really really cool way. Um, but there's just some gorgeous moments instrumentally. There's some fantastic distortion that gets like kind of thrust in. I feel like he's kind of scoring this like you would a movie where like when he's talking about certain things or he was talking about Stereolab playing one chord, he'd bring in those distortion elements and everything. And there's just this like jaw dropping moment at like the 26-minute mark where like the two chords finally like dissipate and you just have like this moment of clarity, like this eye of the storm almost exactly in the middle of the track, and just like the most gorgeous instrumental is just like flooding you for 4 minutes and it's just incredible. I was like close to not putting it at 100 and I listened to it again and that part again today hit me and I'm like this is just unbelievable. Um, so I think this is a record that like is definitely better perceived once you listen to a majority of his discography, because you will catch everything, and I think you'll be able to relate with everything a lot more and see the bigger picture when it comes to this.
Mm.
But I mean, it's so fantastic that you could pretty much like do this after only hearing one or two records, and you'd still get the gist of it because it is that strong of like a sentiment. Um, and the whole like bringing the microphones back for this is very interesting because like he's trying to like he has this whole section about like how we perceive art because we focus too much on who's creating it or the face on it or the name on it or anything like that. So kind of bringing back the microphones just to kill it and like try to have this nameless, voidless thing
Mm.
is kind of fantastic. Um, and the cover art is also amazing. The artwork with this thing is fantastic. Like you can buy the whole book with every single Polaroid I think he used in the video on it. Just the cover art is stunning. Yeah, I think is like a visual art piece slash album slash experience. This is one of the best things he's done, and I don't understand how he keeps doing this. I thought I was like fully done. I'm like, all right, the wonder is gonna wear off eventually because I've done all of it. I'm listening to it constantly. I'm preparing things, but then nope, just strikes me right again. So yeah, it is a phenomenal piece. I'm gonna have a lot to say about this. I feel like a majority of that video will probably be partially on this record. I have to kind of reframe it because I have to figure out how I want to tell this, deep dive thing now.
Right.
Because this right at the end of it could be placed anywhere. It's kind of going to be the centerpiece, I think, when we start connecting all these things. But yeah, phenomenal. Um, I got one left, and then I'm done. So we got Mount Erie, and we're gonna be doing it on the channel soon. So
We are.
yes,
This is
we'll
news to
make it
me.
happen. I got some schemes I'm working on.
A scheme.
Yeah,
Ah, jeez.
I got to do it so I can finally get this thing on the road. Um,
Well,
but yeah,
you can probably just do it after the next one.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for Mount Erie. I kind of had the context of everything, and I know his thought process making it now, which is, I think, helping. I'm expecting nothing less, but just like this to happen again with that record. Since I don't know, I still have this mysticism for this record because I haven't heard it. I still have that for the Glow Part 2, and I've heard it dozens of times, so maybe that'll never wear off. Um, but yeah, I will. We'll see it when we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was fantastic, much needed. It's not even like depressing like most of his stuff, which is great. It's like affirming almost. It's a
Oh.
you know I, he talks about like wanting to create eternity, and I think he actually did it with this song because like I can just hear that like guitar, the two chords just like playing over and over again. It's just like constantly there. It's just fantastic. But yeah, very good. Um, Offshoot of that a little bit. I have not listened to this whole record. I'm putting it on the wheel because I feel like this will be a really fun one to do. Um, he reissued a record this year from a different artist. He's not really like a record label, but I think he was just like was so enamored with this album that he's like, I want to like publish your record so more people will hear it. So this is Hannah Stretton. Her record Soon came out January of 2023. Um, I think it's still very underground at this point. Seems pretty small still. Um, but this is kind of ambient folk. Um, I listened to like the first three tracks and I'm like, yeah, this is it's really hard to stop it. But
Mm.
I want to put it on the wheel because it was sounding really, really, really good. Um, and I trust Phil enough as an artist at this point where like if he's gonna co-sign somebody this much where he's gonna like re-put out their record,
Mm.
I'm gonna listen to it. So yeah, that's on the wheel. We'll get that soon. Literally,
We sure will.
we sure will.
Is there going to be a
Um,
scheme for that one too?
no,
Okay.
never.
No
Um,
scheme.
no scheme. I only pull out schemes every once in a while,
I'm fine with that.
and I make it perfectly known. Um, because we would not want to insult our great wheel.
Of course, of
Sometimes
course.
we got to make things happen.
The integrity
Um,
of our wheel
the
needs to be
integrity.
withheld.
It's true. Speaking of that, a lot of people are asking for the Cure. I see you. I hear you. I agree. I will, if that's next on my list for that category.
Mm.
So, yeah, I want more Cure in my life. That might honestly be like the next deep dive after this is all wrapped up and I'm like clear headed again after going through all this. I feel like the Cure would be a great next stop. But,
Okay.
we'll see. But I think that's it. I think that's everything I have. It was a lot.
It's okay.
It was, yeah. It was a good 2 weeks for music, except this last week there was like nothing that came out, and everything that came out was like really bad. The Falling in Reverse record this week.
Oh, there's another one?
Yeah. Yeah.
What? That's
Got
awesome.
Ronnie Radke on the cover, like a mugshot. Doesn't look great.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah. Foster the People released an album though. Didn't know they were still doing stuff.
Foster the People. Is that the Pumped Up Kicks?
It is.
That's awesome.
That might actually be a fun album, but
I don't know. What
I
do
just
they
haven't
even do
listened to it
now?
I don't know. They've always kind of been like that indie pop area, so I'm assuming it'll be something like that, which is always nice.
Yeah, that's true. Well, very good. I don't know if I'm really listening to anything new.
That's okay.
I listened to some of the Hosier self-titled, mainly because my friend in Minneapolis, she has great music taste. She's a big fan of the Boy Genius and Big Thief, and I'm like, okay, we tend to vibe. And she's a big fan of Hosier, so I'm like, I will check them out, just because we have similar taste. And it's pretty good. I don't know if I like Take Me to Church, really. I think it's fine, but it's a pretty good opener to the album, I guess. So,
I feel like it's been heard so many times that the impact of it is never going to be felt
yeah.
again.
I mean, I didn't know. It has 2.6 billion streams.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
To be fair, when that song was huge, it was one of the best songs on the radio compared to
Wow.
everything else. So
That's true. 2014, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
drought. It was in the
It
middle
really
of the
was.
drought.
It was always like a really nice time when Hosier came on the radio.
That's true. It was like, for me, it was like Hosier and Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
I like
Fun
it.
was around then too.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Fun Some Nights.
Mhm.
A classic. When are we going to do that on that channel? We should do it again.
Do a reaction instead of a review this time.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to hear my thoughts on that record. I feel
What?
like my thoughts would have changed it quite drastically.
It's so good. It's probably the best album probably ever.
Stars is one of the like best worst songs I've ever heard.
What? I like
It's
that
like
song.
so over the top and overdone, but it's like it's good.
I know. It's funny.
It really is.
And also, it's kind of catchy.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like three, if we're gonna bits aside, there's like three good songs and then the one stars.
Yes.
That's pretty much my thoughts on the record. But it's funny to say that Fun Some Nights is the best album of all time.
Mhm.
Even though categorically it's untrue. Because most of the songs are terrible.
It's a fun record though.
It is.
Literally.
Well, that's true. It's a really fun record to play when you're like 18 in a Discord chat with all of your friends as you're playing Minecraft like 2 or 3
Exactly.
times in a row.
It's light, it's fun. It's not annoying enough for anybody will get mad at you until you play Stars
Oh.
3 times.
Well, then that's their problem.
I want Stars, but just the outro where he auto tunes and just screams.
That is good. And also, it introduced me to one of my favorite artists, Janae Monáe. So that's a big
I
plus.
thought you were gonna say Jack Antonoff.
Jack Antonoff. I'm just a big fan of Bleachers. It's probably the best project ever. think I listened to half of the Bleachers self-titled and was like, this is
Yeah.
what it is. It's fine.
Like you gave me Sling. That's all I need from you. You
That's
can go
true.
away now.
Sling and some of the Taylor Swift
Solar
songs.
Power.
The Folklore Evermore. I don't know how
Yep.
involved he was, but
I think more on Folklore than Evermore. I think
Yeah.
Evermore was more Bon Iver people.
that would make sense. Which is why Evermore's better.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not saying anything too controversial.
No.
Did you listen to the Sufjan Stevens John Legend song?
No, I didn't. I saw that come up on Spotify. I'm like, I don't really want to listen to this. Not because of the cover, just because I don't need to hear John Legend.
Yeah, that's fair. The only thing that I like John Legend in is La La Land. And he's playing a bad guy in that, so it's pretty cool.
He'd make a good bad guy.
He is.
'Cause he's got the most like friendly looking face. And I'm like, he needs to be a bad guy.
Yeah, but he's like, there's evil in those eyes.
Yeah.
He has the
Hidden
capability.
darkness.
Yeah. He's the one. Ryan Gosling wants to be a jazz pianist, and John Legend is like, you should join my big commercial pop band. And he's like, okay, I will do it because I want money. And so he's a representation of how all artists are tempted by the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very deep and metaphorical.
He plays himself.
He plays himself. Pretty much. Oh. What has John Legend made besides that one song?
I feel like for me, this would get me shot probably, but like he's commercial core. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I see him make commercial songs more than I like actually hear his actual music.
Yeah, that's true. It is kind of crazy. I'm looking at his streams right now. All of Me has 2.4 Billy. But then his next is Love Me Now, and that has 400 mil. That's quite a drop.
Yeah.
So he really just has one song. John Legend is a one-hit wonder. I'll say
Fans
it.
also like Robin Thicke, Alicia Keys, and Pharrell Williams. And Justin Timberlake. Yeah. Jason Mraz. Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Still
okay.
345th in the world, though.
Good for from that one song. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Well, good for you, John Legend, and good for you, Chrissy Teigen, for getting the bag and getting and winning a great husband. I assume that he's a great husband, even though I said that he has
like a nice
evil in his eyes.
He contains it.
Yeah, he contains it and doesn't let it out on his wife. I don't know.
He'd be like the kind of guy where he's like super nice to everybody, and then he has like that like secret like passage in his closet where he's got like a super villain costume.
Yeah, I could see that. And then Chrissy Teigen just doesn't know.
Yeah,
It's like
secret identity.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a thing in. Wait, no, it isn't. I was gonna say it's like Invincible, but they know that the dad's the superhero the whole time. Never mind. It's like Spy High. Sky High. Wait, no, they know that the dad's a superhero the whole time too.
Everybody's super in Sky High.
Ah, jeez. What's a superhero movie where they don't know the superhero is a superhero?
Batman.
Well, that's true. Batman
Spider-Man.
Begin. Did you see the
Batman
Michael Caine
Begins.
tweet?
No,
Oh, it's the.
I'm not on Michael Caine Twitter.
Oh, but it's been blowing up. Everybody's
Oh.
been
I don't know
doing.
if I've been on Twitter that much.
It's just like, it's like, why do you fall down? You fall down to get back up. Batman Begin.
That's good.
I don't know if I'm saying it exactly right, but it definitely ends with Batman Begin. So it's very funny. So, okay, bye.